Hi, my name is Calico Spritz. I'm a burlesque performer, and today it's another episode of Rhinestone and Spill. So you know the drill. Go ahead and pick up a rhinestone project, a sewing project, a craft, a DIY, woodworking. I don't care. This is our time to co-work, to work together. I am going to rhinestone and inevitably spill some in the process. I'm also going to be spilling some lore in this episode because I've had some requests to talk about my background as a performer, and I'm excited to get into it. First, we're going to talk about the project that we're working on. A couple weeks ago, I released a video about these tearaway pants, and I today finished the sides. So now they have some rhinestone magic down the sides of them, but I want to go ahead and address this waistband a little bit more. I've got some stones on there already, but I want to zhuzh it, you know? I want it to look sweet and sexy. So let's go. I'm not going to talk too much about it while I'm working on it, but essentially I'm just going to be adding some smaller rhinestone to the waistband, and I'm not going to go about it any type of logical way. I'm just going to do what I think might work right then in the moment. I'm really going to take us back to what it was like growing up for me as a performer. I think like the first time I realized I wanted to perform was when I saw Celine Dion. And I told my mom I wanted to be Celine Dion because Titanic came out, and I was like, she's got it. I want that. And that dream changed a lot over the years. I went from wanting to be Celine Dion to wanting to be Christina Aguilera to wanting to be all number of things. But the first time that I really found something that I loved, that was something that I chose for myself, was actually the cello. I played cello growing up in elementary and middle school, and I was in something called a symphonia, like a youth symphony, and I played first chair, and I really loved it. But there was this moment in a concert where, you know, I was in middle school. I was like a little bit of an emo kid, a little bit of a freakazoid. Like I was showing up to my rehearsals wearing like a top hat and striped tights. Oh, and like a tiny little trench coat. Like what? Like coming like I was a ringleader to my cello rehearsals. And then they said, okay, we've got a concert coming up. And when the concert came up, I showed up in this gorgeous red dress, but I had checkered tights underneath, and I didn't tell anybody. And then, well, as a cellist, you have to sit with your legs open and put the cello in between your legs. And I did that, and my tights were revealed, and the whole Symphonia got this talking to about how playing in a symphony is about like the music being the thing, not the individuality being the thing. And my little Leo heart was crushed because I really loved playing the cello. But you know, at that time I thought that the only way to make a living as a cellist was to go that route, and I was told that I couldn't do that the way that I wanted to. So then of course the next thing that I tried was dance. I took dance classes in middle school as well. I took just general dance classes from my middle school. But it was a really cool, varied education. I still have such fond memories of my music teacher from the time. I think she's so cool. She taught me a lot about musicality and working with a group of people, and we would do performances at like county fairs and stuff like that. That led to me trying some different styles of dance, hip hop, jazz, ballet, you kind of name it. But what I got really excited about toward the end of middle school was trapeze dance. Trapeze dance was again something that I was like, oh, this is for me. And I really loved it. And I've tried it again as an adult, and because I don't weigh 60 pounds soaking wet anymore, much harder. And there's what I feel like is a higher barrier of entry for me right now. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point. At the same time as I was in dance classes, I was in my first play. In that play, it was Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I played the Red Queen. And I had some friends at the time who were older than me because I have an older sibling, and they were drag performers, and they helped me with my makeup for that performance. And I had these iconic sequined eyebrows. And I remember getting on that stage in front of people and just feeling something change in me. Something is not the same. Okay. And I really loved it. I really loved it. And so then the next year rolled around and we were doing Cinderella. I auditioned. I got the role of Cinderella. I was so grateful. But I didn't really love playing Cinderella because there's not much to her character. She's like the straight man, and I really like playing the banana man, right? But after that, my mom found theater camps. Theater camps, man. That was where it was at. It was like a week-long process, start to finish. You get your script on Monday, you audition. At the end of the week, you present a play. The theater that I took those camps at still holds such a special place in my heart. And I learned so much from those camps. And then I was doing classes, and then I was doing showcases. And that led to me being noticed by a couple of the folks who were running the theater space. And they asked me if I wanted to be in a children's production, a production for children, you know. And the first role that I was ever paid for was in a version of Sleeping Beauty that had a cat who only spoke in rhyme and sang and danced. Incredible. So, you know, I took inspiration from Cats because that was the only Broadway musical that I had seen at the time, and I loved it. And performing in what is essentially like a black box space, a smaller theater, felt so different from performing in a proscenium theater. And I really love the energy of being in a small space with a bunch of eyes on you and energy being exchanged. I just find it so thrilling. So for the next, I was 14, and for the next decade, I did all kinds of theater. I did straight plays, I did musicals, I did children's theater, I did, you know, Neil Simon shows, I did the role of a lifetime. I played Sally Bowles in Cabaret. I played Saint Joan, Joan of Arc, and I learned so much in the theater community, but I also had some of the worst experiences of my life within the theater community as well. And a lot of that just has to do with the fact that everybody's human, and anybody can participate who wants to often. And if you're talented, you can kind of get your way and have your way, right? And so I actually experienced some very severe trauma at the hands of people in that community. And that led me to working through and expressing some of that trauma through music. I was in a band for about 5 years with my partner at the time, and I played ukulele and guitar, mostly ukulele, and I wrote music for the very first time for the very first time at all, right? Because I'd grown up playing the cello, and so I sort of understood it, and I'd done a lot of musical theater, and so I really blended the two, and I was playing really dramatic music because I was in my late teens, early 20s, and it's, don't look for it, it's not there. I got a lot of experience playing for different kinds of crowds. I would say the genre that we played was something like pop, folk, punk. So I was booked on a lot of punk shows. I was booked on a lot of folky shows. And I had such an amazing, incredible time being in that band. We played music in over 35 states in the US, in over 7 countries. And I experienced so much travel in such a short amount of time as a result of that. And I got to meet so many different people, hear so much music, see how people build communities in their spaces. And I really got to have my eyes opened for cultural reasons, right? You know, because we all grow up with our own set of, or our own backgrounds. And I was exposed to so much that I did not think I would ever get the chance, the opportunity to experience. I am so grateful for that. So I'm doing both of those things for 5 to 10 years. And I moved to Los Angeles, and I have my dreams set on, you know, acting in film and TV, but I'm also just not kind of sure who I am at this point, because I spent 10 years really enveloped in theater. When I say like I was doing shows all the time, I truly mean like I was working a full-time job, and then I was working one to 3 shows at a time. Like I would get 4 hours of sleep, go to work for 8 hours. I would go to a rehearsal after that, and then I would go to a rehearsal after that one, and then I would have shows on the weekends. Which was a lot, which was really good for me at the time, because, you know, I didn't really know, it was good for me at the time because I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues, just from like genetic stuff, but also from being traumatized. And so I was just going, really giving myself to roles, getting lost in those and not caring at all about who I was as a person. So when I moved to Los Angeles and everything came to a halt, it was years of having fun on sets and doing student films and, you know, getting my SAG card and all that kind of stuff. And I still really like acting, but since I've been in LA, I have like really gotten to know myself, really gotten to understand who I am as a person. And I've really like fallen in love with myself in a way that I did not think was possible. Which is what brings me to burlesque. I think that there were inklings in my lifetime that I would eventually end up doing burlesque, but I think that it happened right at the perfect moment, because, you know, I got so much experience traveling, playing music, doing theater, doing musicals, meeting people, working with people from all walks of life, all ages, you know. And now I get to take all of this creativity that I have from all these different skills, and I get to put it all into something that I really love. When I was doing theater, it was something that I felt really good at. Like it was one of the only things that I was like, I feel objectively good at this. And that's my ego talking, right? But I did. I was like, this is the only real skill that I bring to the table. And people keep telling me that I have it. Okay. Playing music was so different because it was all me. Like it was all from my brain, from my soul. I was like spilling my guts out, right? It's different when you're working with somebody's words and you're working with somebody's direction. And then you transition to, it's all you. I'm playing both the music, I'm writing the lyrics, I'm singing the songs face to face with people as a raw nerve, right? With burlesque, I feel like it's just so much fun. I don't feel like a raw nerve anymore. And I feel like I get to come up with a concept, I get to come up with a costume, and I get to just play. I feel like it's interesting because burlesque is seen as something that is like, it's adult entertainment, right? But I feel like burlesque brings me back to this place of true childlike wonder, and like just, I'm literally just gluing sparkles on some pants. Huh? That's awesome. It's so much fun, and to be able to dance again after really stopping in high school brings me so much joy. It's like a language that I forgot I knew how to speak until I started doing it again, and I love it. I mean, that's kind of it, right? I've been an actor. You know, I tried to play sports, tried to play softball, okay, and I did not like it. I played cello. I was a dancer. I was in theater. Been a musician, and now we're here. And I'm loving it here. Truly, truly, I'm loving it here. We're keeping it simple today. I think I'm pleased. I've actually done so much more rhinestoning today than I have in this specific video, but it was a little nice to take a moment to really think about all of the ways in which I built the life that I have now as an artist. Oh. Well, I hope your project is going off without a hitch, that you got something done, maybe even just your dishes. And if you want to be around for more rhinestone and spill videos, please go ahead and subscribe so that we can see each other a little bit more often. And if you want to make sure that Daddy YouTube knows that this is a sparkly little corner of the internet that you like to be on, like this video. Okay, takes 1 second. And I will see you in the next one.